Good evening and welcome to another installment here at Resurrection Parish of our Town Hall meetings. It's been a beautiful opportunity to come together as parish and for here in church in our area, or as you're listening in at home. Just a great opportunity to look at the issues and things that are happening in our world, and how do we see that through the prism of the resurrection, not just the parish, but the resurrection of Jesus, bringing hope, bringing faith, and a further understanding of who we can be as the body of Christ here upon this earth. October is traditionally Respect Life Month, and so we picked our topics this evening to speak about from the beginning with honor. How do we begin life from the beginning of time to the beginning of our individual lives, the lives of those around us, our loved ones, even the strangers amongst us? What is that beginning yearning to be a part of the human family? How does that call us into a deeper sense of resurrection of faith as we live it out in our world? Also, the other end is we end with dignity. How do we end with dignity in a way that, again, allows us not to recognize only that we are here upon this earth, but also that eternity, that presence of God that is eternal in our lives and our world as well. That's the gift. That's what we pray with. From the beginning to the end of our lives, beginning of the world to the end of the world, there is that wonderful sense of hope and dignity that we hold on to. Again, as we always do, we will be looking for your questions at home or here in our church, just to be able to give you an opportunity also to share your wisdom and your insights with our two speakers that will be speaking in a moment. Let's just take a moment in prayer as we ask our God, again, during this Respect Life Month, that we may always follow in the grace and love of our God as we begin. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. God, you have given us through this creation your goodness, your oneness, the unity of coming together as family in all that we do and all that we say. Help us to be faithful in our relationships, that we may always respect each other, caring for those moments when we too can share your love and your joy with those around us. Bring us that grace, bring us the gifts we need to always care for those as they are bringing new babies into this world, as well as walking with those who are ending their lives upon this earth. And we always know that goodness and grace that brings us into love and eternity. And so we ask our God to pray with us and guide us through this time, that our words, our actions may always reflect your love and your compassion. As we ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. And so to introduce our first speaker for this evening, we have Tony Staley here, who thankfully has brought us together this evening and planned this whole event. So thank you, Tony.
Good evening. Our first presentation tonight will be on Love Life Ministry, which provides, almost anything you can think of to mothers to help take care of their children, their young children, babies, infants. It's been going here in Green Bay for a long time, but I don't want to get into all that because that's what our speaker's going to talk about. So our plan tonight is we will have two different speakers, and the speakers will talk for several minutes about what their organization does, and then we'll have a short video from somebody who has taken part in this, benefited from these different services that are available to help people experience the dignity of life. So tonight's first speaker is Janet Piontek. Janet is a member of St. Bernard Parish on the east side of Green Bay. After retiring from a career in banking in 2004, she decided she needed something to do in retirement, a challenge of some sort. So she found it in Love Life. Janet?
Thank you, Tony, for asking me to come and speak. There's nothing like better than to talk about Love Life, just ask my family. Love Life actually started in 1993 on the west side at St. Joseph's Parish. I think they started making layettes for the free clinic to begin with, and then they noticed that the mothers were getting formula from Wic, but they realized there was a need for diapers. And so they started the Love Life Ministry. It's an all-volunteer program which depends on the generosity of our community. They are present, the west side is located at the Hope Center, along with St. Patrick's Pantry, which is on Clinton Street. If you remember the old white store, it's a building behind there. I retired in 2004 and was looking for an opportunity to volunteer my time. St. Joseph's program was growing, and as referrals came in from hospitals, Brown County Social Service, churches, and St. Vincent de Paul, they asked the diocese to reach out to the East Side churches to see if we would start a Love Life ministry. That was just right up my alley. I was looking for some place to volunteer, and so I jumped in feet first right away. We are presently located at Central Church, which is near Eisenhower School. It's on 831 Shane Street. We are an outreach service supporting low-income families with infants and children up to 3 years old. We give 50 to 75 diapers once a month. We also provide a layette, which we call a baby shower in a box, which includes all the things a mother should need when they bring that baby home from the hospital. De Peer Outreach and others donate larger items, strollers, high chairs, anything that seems to come into them, they bring over. And other people will drop off, especially grandmas and grandpas who had a bed or a stroller. We cannot give out beds, though. But if they had strollers or high chairs that they had for their grandchildren, and now the children are grown, and those are in excellent shape when they come in. We also can give them a voucher if they need a car seat or a pack and play. We definitely want them to have something for that baby to sleep in. We do not want them bringing them into the bed with them because there's too many SID deaths from that. Our families have to meet the Wic Guidelines. Now, Wic is Women, Infants, and Children, and they check out their financials and their qualifications and supply them with formula. So we don't have to do that. We just ask them to show us their WIC card and proof of identification, proof of address, and proof of the baby's birth. That's all that they need to qualify for our program. In the year 2020, we served 872 families, or 1,178 children. We handed out 210 layettes and gave out over 239,000 packages of diapers. In the summer of 2014, we started Love Life Learning, which provides toddlers with books and other reading materials when they come in for their visit. We also partnered with Encompass Childcare to provide diapers to the eligible working people, working families who cannot get down to Love Life because of the hours that we are open. And I think some of the ladies from this parish actually helped us pack diapers for that program. Because we helped Encompass, we were awarded the Children's Advocacy Award from Encompass. We received a couple of beautiful thank you letters from former clients. One was a young mother going to school to become a nurse. After she was there for her 3 years, she sent a picture of her family, mother, father, and baby, and thanked us for helping her to get through school. Another letter that we got was from a lady who was expecting her 5th child, and at that time, her husband lost his job. So she was presented with a layette and came in for diapers. She sent us a letter thanking us and saying that our layette was the only new items that that baby got. And her husband was working again, and she sent us a donation. Love Life is open on Thursdays from 1 to 4, but because of the COVID, clients drive up under a canopy over the doorway at Central Church. They receive their diapers through their car windows. Our workers wear masks, and they wear masks. If they don't have a mask, we provide them with one. We're hoping that comes to an end soon. Before COVID, we had about 50 volunteers, and now we have about 30. working together, putting together layettes, repacking diapers, sorting clothes, registering new clients, keeping records, waiting on clients, and seeking donations. We have wonderful volunteers that sew blankets, crochet afghans, knit hats and booties, and many other items. We are just amazed at some of the beautiful things that people bring to us. United Way provides us with 2/3 of the diapers that they collect during their drive during September and October. And we also receive donations from churches that have giving trees, Mother and Father's Day collections, Knights of Columbus, Optimists, and individual supporters. They donate diapers and items for our layettes. And in the very beginning, when we had nothing, we had to actually write for grants. Our program is to reduce the strain on low-income families to meet the basic needs of their infants and children. We need to help those who choose to have their babies. A baby in a dry diaper views the world as a happy place. Studies show that good care given during the first years of life is critical to healthy development. I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to you, and I hope you'll have some questions for me later. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rasmi. This is my husband.
My name is Mark. And we have 3 kids. Our oldest one is 8, second one is 5, and Kaya is 1.
When we first learned about Love Life, it was from another mother who was also going through some of the similar situations that we were in. At the time, we were both college students. We were not making much money. We were in school full time, and then we had children, and we were struggling to make ends meet. And Love Life helped us tremendously with diapers and formulas and other baby products that they have. They made us feel very welcome.
Right. They were all welcoming, and there are always smiles when we come in. And if we're new, when we were new, like, they're very accommodating and welcoming when you come in the door.
Yeah.
So they help you every step of the way. They're helping you.
With Love Life being very welcoming, it makes you have a sense of a safety net. You feel safe. You feel that you can go to them, and they have resources. They have information if you need help in other areas. For example, when we had our second child, we didn't have a car seat, and they had resources to other organizations that were out there to help us, and we were able to get a new car seat for our second baby. So they don't just distribute diapers, they don't just distribute baby products or baby goods. They also have connections to the community and other resources. Say, hey, if you need help, if you need help in other areas, they have the resources to help you. Well, like I said, we both were young, and we both were still students in college. He was only working part-time, and I was then going to school, and he was in school, and we have young children. We didn't have a lot of income. We were worried about how to make ends meet. They took a lot of stress and a lot of pressure off of us from worrying about, when we're going to get the next paycheck to buy more diapers or to buy more formula, and an organization like Love Life took the stress and took some of the pressure off, knowing that there's help. We would have been very stressed.
Yeah, we wouldn't really know. We would, for sure, that time when we were going to school, it'll be, I would have to get another job on top of what, going to school, because we were both full-time students that time. And, I think that with the little help that Love Life provided,
it carries us over to the next month.
For the next month,
yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
We love everything about Love Life, everything that they do, what they stand for, their mission. It gives us peace and comfort knowing that there's support for families who have small children and need the extra support to make it.
What I liked about them is that they have their community or their organization is very strong. As I can say, like they're very motivated to be there every Thursday when we went. Like they're all helping each other to pack the diapers together and put out their stuff on the tables and organize it for families to come in. Then it's really structured, I can say, in a way where it's welcoming, and a certain way where browse in, it's like, when you go to a grocery store, it's like you just come pick and choose kind of thing, and then you come in and you go kind of thing. So
they also have a program where they, if it's the child's birthday, they give a brand new outfit and a book, and they give literature, and they believe in not just giving diaper, but supporting the children to grow up and be smart, and learn how to read. And so they have a literature program too that they do. I don't know our life without Love Life.
yeah.
Because they've been there. They've been there for us, and they've helped us in more than just providing for us. But we become friends. We get to know them, and they get to know us in our family, and we become very close with a couple of the volunteers in the organization. Love Life is very close to our heart because we were going through a rough time, and they were there for us. And I'm pretty sure that there's lots of families out there who needs help the way we do, especially with young children and not having much, especially with the pandemic. We give back anytime and every time we can. I help them with their webpage and their Facebook page. I've also done couponing where if there's a deal out there somewhere, I help them to go get diapers, or like, hey, look, Target's has a sale. Maybe you should go pick up some diapers there. So we've done quite a bit in that area. Mark and I, at one point, both go in and help them package diapers for distribution. So we it doesn't always have to be monetary, to give back to the organization. We've also donated like our children's used clothes that shouldn't be used, but they grow out of it so fast, so we give it back to the organization to give out to other families in need, And so we try to give back as much as we can to the organization because we believe in what they do, because they've helped us so much. So whenever we can, we give back too, to help others.
Janet, thank you so much for the introduction to Love Life. That was wonderful, and thanks to the Mua family for bringing that all to life as well. So those are all the issues, or some of the issues, that are reflected in the beginning of life. And now we turn to the other side of life, and that's the end of life. And what are some of the ministries, what are some of the issues, the challenges that go with the end of life, and particularly with hospice programs in our area. And tonight we're blessed to have from Unity Hospice, Kathy Maleski. She's a nurse, and she's been with Unity Hospice in Green Bay for more than 11 years. As a crisis nurse, she brings her experience, expertise, and compassion to patients and families, drawing on more than 23 years in nursing and more than 31 years in healthcare. She's also dedicated to educating the community and training patient care staff about Unity's services: hospice, palliative care, non-medical in-home care, and grief support services. And so, to hear more about the end-of-life issues, hospice in particular, and then to hear another story from a family who's been touched by the services of hospice, we welcome Kathy Maleski.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. So I just wanted to, you know what? It's not making it go. All right, I'll just kind of, okay, sorry about that. So, my name's Kathy Maleski. I've been a nurse. I'm a CHPN, which means I did further education to hone my skills for hospice and palliative care. So I have been that for 6 years. We live our mission, vision, and values. So our mission is really to bring the best end-of-life experience to our communities through unwavering strength, compassion, and support. So that is what we do. We try to really make sure that everybody is ready to have their end-of-life journey. So what do we do? Is it not? Oh, thank you. Yeah, that'll work. Thank you. I usually have a computer, so I didn't. I was going to try to read it off this. Perfect. There is always a technical issue. Perfect. There we go. That's better. All right. So hospice isn't the end. It is joining two things, hope with service. Hospice never takes away a person's hope. It provides supportive services so end of life can be filled with dignity, comfort, and peace. Hospice care, we are focusing on optimizing comfort throughout end of life. Hospice is, how is it paid for? The Medicare, Medicaid benefit, how is it paid for? Hospice does not require deductible or a copay. Most insurance programs also provide a hospice benefit. And then we have our community care, which is care that we are able to provide for anyone, no matter what their financial status or insurance status is. So everybody who needs us will have the same care as anybody with insurance or Medicare. Where is hospice care provided? Anywhere people call home. Their personal homes, apartments or condos, assisted living, skilled nursing facilities, contracted hospitals, and the Jack and Ingrid Meng hospice residence. So what you get with your hospice care team is you get to keep your attending physician, which is important. They're the ones who know you the best. You also get a registered nurse that comes and help as kind of the hub of your health care at that point. They work with a licensed practical nurse, and they will work under the direction of the registered nurse. A social worker helps with getting services, but also emotional support. You get a certified nursing assistant, which helps with bathing, whether it be in a shower or a sponge bath or a bed bath. They also get a chaplain that helps with spiritual issues. And even after the patient has died, we do have our grief counselors that take care of the family after. So we have a great grief program for aftercare. And then we also have trained volunteers. So those people come in, and if the spouse wants to go to the grocery store but they can't leave their person home, then a trained volunteer can come and sit and visit. Sometimes they just come in and they have a weekly card game or whatever that is appealing to that person. So who is eligible for hospice? Anyone with a life-limiting illness of 6 months or less. That does not mean that if you live longer than 6 months that you are taken off the program. As long as you're eligible for the hospice benefit, you can stay on as long as you need. And then if you can have life-prolonging treatments for children under the age of 18. So in hospice care, what is provided? The focus of care is optimizing comfort. That is what we do, and quality of life. We are comfort experts. We develop personalized healthcare goals based on the ever-changing disease progression, needs, wishes, and lifestyle. So whatever the patient's goals are, that's what our goals are. It is not a rubber stamp of this is what everybody gets. It is directly personalized for each person and family. We have experts in pain and symptom management. We have emotional and spiritual support for our patients, families, and caregivers. And we have a 24-hour care team of RNs support as needed. So if you have a problem in the middle of the night, you speak to the triage nurse. If the triage nurse is not able to direct you, then they will send a registered nurse, no matter, we're like the postman. Sleet, rain, snow, we're coming. So you always have that support. And then we also now have a new program called Gifted Wishes. It was on the news month or so back, and that is kind of like Make-A-Wish for kids, but it's for people who are at the end of their life. So having small wishes, a lot of Packer games, people really love that. So we're able to do that for them. What is covered? So there is a financial benefit to signing on to the hospice program. Your medications, your durable medical equipment, and supplies related to your hospice diagnosis. So durable medical equipment is a big word for your commode, your nebulizer, hospital bed, walker, wheelchair. We also provide incontinence products and much, much more. And the medications that are all related to your comfort for that patient. We also help just knowing what is coming ahead. And then the grief support services for the family, friends, and caregivers. So hospice is our optimizing comfort through the end of life. So the next program I want to chat, we're doing our common misconceptions. So a lot of times people think these things about hospice. Only people with cancer can have hospice. That's not true. Many, many diagnoses. We do a lot of people with cancer, but we do heart, circulatory diseases, strokes, Parkinson's, dementia, liver, intestinal diseases, malnutrition. It's not just cancer. It's pretty much anything that is life-limiting. Misconception number 2, hospice care is only for the elderly. We do a lot of elderly, but we do babies. We go from, anybody who is in need of us. That's from 0 to 100 and plus. So we do young babies and adolescents and teenagers and everything in between. Myth number 3, this one really makes me like, no. Hospice means giving up hope and my loved one will die quickly. No, that's not true. Actually, in a research in the Journal of Pain and Symptom Management, they found that oncology patients who received early palliative care lived 2.7 months longer, had fewer depressive symptoms, and reported higher quality of life. Hope never dies, it only changes. We hope for different things. So we really try to get those goals set. Hospice adds life to days when you can't add days to life. So I always tell my patients, I can't make you live longer, but I can sure help you live better. And by living better, they get a little bit longer. Number 4, hospice patients are homebound. Nope, that's not true. Many hospice patients engage in activities outside the home. You can enjoy both local and out-of-state travel. So if you wanted to go to Florida to see somebody for a week, we would set up with the hospital in the town that you're going to be at so that your care is never stopped, so you are covered that whole time. So yes, you can get out and go to Door County or whatever you want to do. You don't have to be homebound. That's home health care. Big thing, when do you call? How do you know when it's time? So these are some things that you can reach out with your doctor or even just call Unity, but loss of interest in daily activities, difficulty with most activities of daily living like getting washed up and eating and all that stuff, increase in daytime sleeping, deteriorating mental abilities, frequent falls, significant unintentional weight loss, uncontrollable disease-related pain with current medications, shortness of breath even while resting, and multiple hospital or doctor visits for disease complications. So those are the things you're going to kind of want to start clicking in your head. Oftentimes people think that hospice is for that last week or so, but really it's for 6 months. We have a lot of work to do to get that patient and that family ready for that end of life journey. So I always say call earlier than later because you're not getting your benefit, and this is a benefit that you have earned through your Medicare or Medicaid. That's earned, that you've earned that right to have this. So definitely want to get that 6 months with them.
I'm assuming that you need multiple issues under that list. I mean, if you're starting to fall at home, I wouldn't think of calling hospice.
Correct. You're gonna see these things together.
Okay.
Yeah. But that falling might be a symptom that spurns you to the doctor's office that then gets you diagnosed with something. So those are things that you're gonna wanna watch for that might start the process.
Okay, thank you.
So our second program that we have is our supportive care management. And this is kind of like pre-hospice. So the focus of care is reducing hospitalizations and optimizing quality of life through advanced disease management. Think of this as more people services versus getting the hospital bed and the medications and stuff. Supportive care management, who is eligible? People living with advancing chronic illness and one of the following: deteriorating health, difficult symptoms, frequent hospitalizations, declining ability, recipient of previous hospice care, poor quality of life, and treatments might pose a burden. So this is more eligible for, you can get that life-prolonging treatment is expected and acceptable for all ages. So this is a program that is not quite ready for hospice, but not doing great at home. What is provided with support with care management? The goal is disease management and optimizing quality of life. So the hours are a little different. They're Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and they address the physical symptoms and spiritual needs of you and your support system. That they have 24 hours access to the registered nurse by phone only. Medication prescription and management. So a lot of times just having somebody come in and help getting that Medi-Planner filled and ordering those and making sure that that patient is taking the medications and that the medications are effectively keeping that person comfortable and managing that disease process. We also assist with advanced care planning. And then again, ongoing education about illness progression for the entire family. Kind of us knowing what's gonna happen next so that the patient and family know what's gonna happen so nothing's a surprise. How is it paid for? Coverage is paid for private insurance or private pay. So sometimes people are like, oh, private pay. Well, it's probably cheaper than running to the doctor all the time, and you don't have to go to the doctors. It's always easier, you know, if you call for your loved one, they're gonna say, bring him to the ER. If I call with an assessment, they're gonna do what we need them to do without the patient ever having to leave the home. So that's a big thing. That happens only in residential homes, apartments, and condos, and assisted livings. That program is not eligible for skilled nursing centers. This is supportive care management versus hospice care. This is a real nice thing about what's covered on each side. There are brochures in the back that have that. It's the care programs brochure that you can look at that. I can't read that far, it's too little. Let's be real. All right. And then our grief support program. So this is available to anyone in our Unity's 13 county service areas who has experienced the loss of a loved one. They do not have to have passed on the Unity program. This is for anyone who's experienced loss. So if you had a sudden loss in, say, a car accident and you needed some grief support, you can just call Unity and they will hook you up with our grief support services, who are fantastic. They provide individual grief counseling, family grief counseling, grief support groups for all ages, telephone support, mailings, printed and online educational materials, some beautiful special memorial events. We have them throughout the different times of the year. I think our next one will probably be our tree lighting, and I think that's November, December. And then grief consultation and support for staff at assisted living facilities, skilled nursing homes, clinics, hospitals, and other businesses, which is really important because if you have somebody in a skilled nursing facility or an assisted living, those staff become those patients' families. And when they pass and they're not supported, that's pretty rough on their souls. So having Unity offer that grief support to the workers is a great thing. So we want you to have a conversation with your family about your end-of-life wishes while you're healthy. No one wants to have that discussion, but if you do, you'll be giving your loved ones a tremendous gift, since they won't have to guess what your wishes are or would have been, and it takes the onus of responsibility off of them. That is just my little thing of talking about getting your advance directives, your power of attorney for health care in line. So if you're over 18, that's the rule. If you're over 18, you should have a power of attorney for health care. That is something that we can do another program on, but you can also look at getting that information, Power of Attorney for Healthcare Wisconsin, and there's lots of different things, but we do have a presentation on that as well. Is that my last one? Yep. So definitely, if you need, even if you're just questioning if this person is appropriate, you don't have to have a doctor's referral. Anybody can call Unity, whether it be a neighbor or a husband, a spouse, a child, a friend. Anybody can call Unity and get the ball rolling. So if they don't qualify, maybe they will qualify for our other programs as well. Okay?
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. We're gonna have a little panel.
Sure. Oh, we gotta watch a video.
Well, my name is Jim Charnetsky, and as far as my background, I was employed for 27 years as a police officer for the Brown County Sheriff's Department. I think my greatest accomplishment there was implementing the 911 concept. It was just a life-saving deal. And we started very meekly, and it just bloomed into what it is today with Central Dispatch for Brown County. And I remember one time we were at some function, a church function, and somebody fell down on the ice, and somebody said, "Hey, just call 911. They'll send all the help out there that you need." It just gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling to think that people were using that, and indeed it was saving life. So for the past 20 years now, I was a municipal judge for the village of Alloway. Bobby was in the hospital having a knee replaced, and I was up visiting her there, and I had to go down to my car to get a document on it. I came back up and I couldn't hardly breathe. Next thing I knew, I was being escorted down to the emergency room at St. Vincent's and had a heart attack, followed by open heart surgery. 5 bypasses and pacemaker put in. 28 days in the hospital. And then after that, I developed a lung problem. My lungs filling up with fluid. And so then my lungs collapsed, and one has come back, and the other is still not completely cured. It won't cure itself. In the operation, they said at my age and my state of health, I would never survive that kind of an operation. We all sat down and talked about what would be the best for me, and the best was let's get quality life with a short time, because I'm going to die, I guess. I accepted that. We all know going to have to die. And lo and behold, along came Unity Hospice, one of the best things that ever happened to me after I had my heart attack. Compassionate, very competent. The people are God sent, and anybody that's fortunate enough, and I feel fortunate to be a part of the Unity program. God bless you all.
When the topic was raised about should hospice be an option for him, his initial reaction was no. Hospice, then you're all just going to leave me to die. And we had a lot of heartfelt conversations about what hospice was, what his goals were, and that it was really about making him live better, and that by starting hospice, he was going to actually enjoy the end of his life as opposed to feel like someone was going to leave him to die. And so I think that has proven to be really true. When his reevaluation came up, he was actually a little frightened that they might kick him out of the program. And we had to talk about the fact that unfortunately he still has all the same chronic conditions. But it was really truly a testament to hospice that he had done so well, and that he was doing so well. So he's come a long way in his acceptance.
Yes, he has said from the get-go and continues to say almost daily, this is too good to be true. And he is so thankful for the care that's provided, and amazed at all that they do and how they take care of everything.
He really enjoys the visits.
Yes.
He loves to tell stories and talk to people, and he really enjoys on Tuesdays when they come.
And I think it's interesting too how Tuesday came about, because part of the reason his visit is on Tuesday is because when he initially started hospice, they asked him, what are your goals? And one of his goals was to finish his judgeship term, which was ending in April of 2017. And his biggest concern was he going to be able to live out? The people voted him in, and he needed to live that he owed it to them.
Had that
and his court was every day, or was always on Wednesdays.
Wednesdays, yes.
So by design, hospice, in true form to meet his goal, came every Tuesday and made sure he was in tip-top shape, drained his tube, so he'd have less fluid there, gave him tips and encouragement on energy conservation, so he'd have the voice and
brought in the oxygen at home
to hold court on Wednesdays.
We have a good team. Amy is his nurse, Jane is the social worker, and Larry provides the ministry support. And it took a lot of the burden. He accepted at that point.
Well, he
what
didn't,
we call the new normal, right?
and he didn't like Brenda and I having to give up our time to help him out. It was very hard for him, and we didn't mind doing it at all, but he was relieved that he wasn't putting that burden on us anymore.
Yes, even though it wasn't a burden to us, he felt that it was. So you're absolutely right. That was one of the immediate benefits, is that it made him feel better about it. And we could just come over and visit. And we weren't so much the caregivers anymore.
We've been with Unity. It'll be almost a year in July. And all I can say about it is wonderful for him and wonderful for me. I no longer have to worry about measuring out his pills and making a mistake. I don't have to worry about taking him to the doctors 3-4 times a week. I can call Unity any time of the day or night, and they will help me. And my husband is teaching us all how to die. Our girls have said that. Dad is teaching us how to die. We do have a new normal, but that's okay.
Again, for those of you at home, if you can chat your way in. If you have any questions or comments, we'll be happy to take those at this time. So this is a bit of a discussion. And for those of you here in church, if you have any questions, Tony's got a mic. We can zip around and you can jump right in as well. I guess my first reaction is the last thing we just heard there, how he was able to teach us how to die. And I'm thinking on the love life and the birth side, it's teaching us how to live. You know, as the family said, it's a matter of how do we be a community, a family enough that a couple, a person can bring a child into this world without so many fears and complications and anxieties. And yeah, it's a stressful time. It's a stressful time to be born. You know, obviously the little cry of the baby, it's like, oh, that's stress. And it's a stressful time to die. So in both of your organizations, and I think as we as church, we're in the same mode of how do you see that sense of hope coming forth? How do you see people being able to relate to each other in such a way that they find hope, they find comfort, they find a sense of family and community that brings them together and supports them along the journey? From your perspectives, any comments?
Well, I know having a baby is expensive. One can of formula is like $20, a package of diapers is like $20. And if you can help them with that and take that stress off their mind, they can relax a little bit, have a little money for other things that they need. I think it makes a big difference in their life.
Right. I'm even thinking as we talk about, whether to bring a child into this world, and those are some of the concerns. I've heard a number of people say, I don't know what the figure is today, but it costs $250,000 to raise a child, from birth to 18 years old or through college, whatever it is. Probably not through college, probably just to 18. But yeah, and even to help people, young parents, to recognize, or parents to be, that it is possible to raise a child in this world, that you're not alone, right?
We've also had hospitals call us where, like, it's a teenage mother, and she's not prepared, and many times their babies are premature. Mm-hmm. So she ends up in the hospital, and she's not ready. She has nothing at home. So that Layette and those extra diapers help her get started. Nice.
Yeah, I know both of your organizations are connected with the hospital systems and have those important connections health-wise, healthcare-wise, so that's great. How do you find hope? Where do you see that?
Well, in hospice, we are blessed to see extraordinary acts of love and kindness. People ask, isn't my job sad? All of your patients die. And I say, well, not really, because I know that they're all going to die. I get joy in them dying well. So seeing that family, educating that family, that patient, so that they know what's coming, so that they can mentally prepare and spiritually prepare, it can bring a family that has been apart for a long time very close together, or it can bring people who are close even closer. And having that death be a journey that is beautiful and not scary, demystifying death, brings hope because it's not a scary process. And their comfort, the family seeing how death can be, makes people hope. It hopes for their future as well as their loved one.
Right.
So it never dies, it changes. We just hope for different things.
Right, right. It seems as if, and this is happening across the board in many different areas, I think, that life issues are brought into the normal mainstream of life. And in both of your situations, for example, a teenager having a baby, in your age, where did they go? Right? They were shipped away, right?
So out to an aunt in another state, or
Or there's homes for unwed mothers, right? And now they're able to continue in high school. They're able to be a part of family, a part of the society, in a loving, accepting way. And again, hospice has come a long way. The death process has come a long way.
Yes.
Similarly, back in your day, somebody was dying. They went to the hospital. They died there. They died quickly at home, I guess.
Yep. And they didn't do it necessarily comfortably.
Yeah.
And now it is significantly better than it used to be. And we can provide care wherever the patient lives.
Right.
So that's important.
I mean, even the healthcare workers now have much more understanding and care, compassion.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And
Medicines.
just the knowledge of the dying process. And that's all, really due to hospice care. Hospice care has really brought the death and dying process into the foreground, and they now have, a better idea of how to treat comfort at end of life than we did, 20 years ago.
Right. Yeah, because there's always, I think, in the past, in both sides, if we bring it out into the light, if we promote it, we're saying it's okay to have a baby out of wedlock, or it's okay to keep your baby. You should give it up for adoption or whatever. And the dying process, like, we don't want to talk about death.
The betwixt words, cancer and hospice.
Right.
We whispered them
Right.
for a long time.
Right.
And in my career, I've learned to shout it from the rooftops because
Yeah.
it's so important. It's the one unifier. We're born and we die, but we
Right.
still whisper about it.
We do, yeah. And I think those are, shall we say, church-wise graced moments. They're moments, as we heard, when we all learn from that dying process. I live better today because I've been with, just a week or two ago, I was with somebody and I was praying with them, anointing them, and they died right there. And it was a beautiful moment. Suddenly the nurse came in and said, you might want to go to the daughter who was with me. You might want to go and be with mom because she is dying right now. And we were with her, and it was a beautiful moment to be able to care for a person who beautifully, unapologetically left the world and died and went on to the eternal life. I mean, again, so different than it used to be in the past.
And when it can be a beautiful experience, it's not so scary for the next one.
Right.
When you can see it done well, it's not so scary for your other parent or your husband or your wife, because you saw how beautiful it can be for people.
Right. Yeah. And I think part of what I was hearing also was both of your organizations, and again, I think there are many groups, including churches, who have become advocates for, and to be able to stand up legally in creating laws as well as processes for those who need to find help. Like the mother said, she heard it from another mother, right? It's when it becomes a word of mouth that this is a great place to go, they give help, they receive me in a very welcoming way. That's advocating for life, for family, for relationships within the community. And when that comes together, again, we're lifting people up rather than hiding them away. right? Yeah. Yeah.
Hang on 1 second.
Sorry. Do you take clothes as well?
Yes, we do. We prefer to get new clothes, and we're at a little disadvantage now with COVID because we used to have clothes baskets out in the room, and we would put, you know, the gently used clothes, and they could help themselves to whatever they want. Our storage is in the basement of the church, and it's very difficult to haul all that upstairs. So some of those little things are lost. We try, if they ask for clothes, we go down and get them for them. But it's a little bit hard to supply them with everything now because of them not coming into the building.
Do you give them formula as well, or no?
Yes, they were always asking us for formula. Although they get it from Wic, they always feel that they're short. So we do give them one extra can a month. So they can ask for that, and we'd love to get donations of all of those items because what we don't have to buy really helps us.
And for our Res family, you know that we have our little crib in the entrance here, so it's wonderful to see when it starts filling up again and people are donating clothes and diapers.
I saw that when I came in, yes.
Right. Sure.
I just want to say something about hospice too. My mother was in assisted living, and they actually were the ones that asked us if we ever considered hospice. And of course, that's what I thought, you know, we all thought. But I gotta tell you, man, that was the most wonderful thing ever. And we tell everyone about it. It's like you don't have to, you just call them. They call the doctor, they change the meds. And the CNAs where my mom was, they were wonderful too, but they're overworked. And so the CNA came in and she got my mom to do stuff that, I mean, it is an amazing program. I'm so glad we did it, and we tell everybody about it, so thank you.
I have a quick question for Kathy, particularly. Are there, you know, in hospitals and end-of-life issues, they always talk about, like, what's the term? You know, there's only so much help you can give before it's extraordinary means of keeping somebody alive. How do you make those decisions in a hospice setting?
Well, they're usually made beforehand by filling out your advanced directives, your power of attorney for healthcare. And when you sign on to hospice, you're committing to the hospice guidelines. So there are specific guidelines about life extending procedures or life extending treatments, and that would be discussed about stopping that prior to signing on. But if they wanted to start something, we would always educate a lot of times. And a lot of times you hear something, but you hear this wonderful thing, but it doesn't show you what that treatment's gonna look like, or what the end goal is. So just providing that little bit of extra education, and you can sign off of hospice to go get something done, and then sign back on. It's not if you sign on, you can't ever have anything done. You can sign off and then sign back on as well. But yeah, if they're younger, they can have IV therapy and some other things, but that's for pediatrics. But usually part of our job is getting you there, getting you ready to accept. And we're all experts in those conversations. Our nurses, our social workers, our chaplains. That's what we do. You know, if you're a mom-baby nurse, that's what you do. End-of-life care is what we do. So just those conversations and education, and then the patient always has that choice of signing off and doing something else.
Because I've met people who have been on for years in hospice.
As long as you meet the hospice criteria, you can stay on. It's not if you're 6 months and 1 day, you get kicked off.
Right.
Some people will graduate, but Usually that's when somebody moves from a home into an assisted living, and now they're getting 3 square meals, correct medications, provided care. Sometimes those people will graduate, but most of the time people won't. They'll continue on, as long as they're in that guideline, they can stay as long as they need.
Okay.
I was talking to a guy one day, and he was telling me that his sister was in hospice. So he went to see her one morning, and she wanted something like a bacon double cheeseburger or something. And he says...
with a brat on top.
Yeah. I'm not sure that you should be eating something like this. And the hospice nurse came in and said, no, you don't understand. Your job is to make her happy.
Yep.
If you come in here and she tells you at 9 o'clock in the morning that she wants chocolate ice cream, chocolate cake, and an old fashioned, you get it.
Yep.
Because that's what this is all about.
Yep.
Now, even if they're diabetic,
Yep. Even if they're diabetic. You know, at this stage of the game, eat dessert first. That's really what my philosophy is, you know, you don't know how much time you have, so eat dessert first. Oh my gosh, yes.
oh, I started that a long time ago.
Yep. And anything that makes people happy.
Okay.
Yeah, and a cheeseburger, you bet. Go get that double cheeseburger. Yep.
This is a comment more than a question, but Jim Charnetsky was, and his family were parishioners at Resurrection. So I had the opportunity to know him before he passed. But I didn't know about his work with 911. I knew him when he was had retired and was volunteering for quite a few things in the church. So it was lovely to hear that part of the story. I think I was at Mass the day that the person fell on the ice and 911 was called, but I didn't know his connection to that. But what a gift he and his family gave to us to see that, to have them share their experience. I'm just very grateful that they were willing to talk about such a difficult time in their lives, and so great
he was
video.
A very
Thank
nice
you.
Man.
Yeah,
he really was a very nice man.
And Janet, I think you said you had a personal connection to the Charneskys?
I'm sorry.
You had a personal connection to Jim Charnesky as well, I think you said?
Did you know Jim Charnesky?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Jim Charnesky is my husband's first cousin, and my husband actually stood up for his wedding, the gentleman that you saw on the screen up here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Small world.
It is. Green Bay isn't is so big.
No.
I have a comment from somebody at home. It says, people often think that going into hospice means giving up. That family is reluctant to give the impression that they are not hopeful. How do you address that concern when it feels like they're at home thinking, well, I don't want to give up hope and send my loved one off to hospice, and yet they might see the need for it?
Again, it's the hope never dies, it only changes. We hope for different things. We're not hoping for a cure. We're hoping that they can go to Door County and spend the weekend, or go and travel to see their kids in Oklahoma, or whatever their personal goals are. Yes, we do get that, you know, they're gonna give up. Well, they usually don't, because they're comfortable. You know, is it more important to not have them have the hospice care? The disease is happening whether you're on hospice care or not. But having that hospice care gets you into a place where you're educated, you're supported, the patient is comfortable. That's not losing hope. That's hoping for different things. Mm-hmm. You know, it's important to just know that you're shifting it from fixing it to comfort. And just being a nurse for over 23 years, and with Unity for this long, I don't think I could personally go back to being a fix-it nurse. I've totally been hospicized. I'm all about comfort all of the time. You know, I don't poke people anymore because that's not comfortable. So once you become in that mindset of we're not giving in or giving up, we're hoping for different things. And that's important, just knowing that we're hoping for different things. It's not a loss of hope, it's just a change in mentality.
And it's written all over you.
Yep.
You're clearly very comfortable with that. And
Yep.
It's a great image.
Yep.
I was with somebody last week also who I talked to him, first time I really talked to him and met him, and he was sitting on the side of his bed and he was talking about this and that, and he said, I'm sorry, I got a lot of Irish in me, and he just kept going. All this story about this and that, and laughter and joy. And I went back this past week, a week later, to visit, and he was laying in his bed, almost in fetal position, and he couldn't get up anymore, and he was just there, laying in bed, and he just kind of half whispered, and he said, I'm ready to go. I'm ready. And it was so heartening for me to hear that, again, that process from birth all through life, all the challenges, everything we do, all of our experiences keep rolling together, one building on the next, until we get to that point where we can say, hopefully, I'm ready. And I've seen and been in situations, I'm sure you have as well, where people have been on their deathbed and it's like, I'm not ready. And they're struggling and they don't know where to go, and there's a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, and the family's not helping either, because then don't go, stay here with us, and they're going back and forth, and just that comfort of being able to say, it's okay.
Yep.
This really is ultimately what life is all about.
And that's why we want people for 6 months. It's a process. You know, when you get them for a week, you have lost out on all of that support, that education, that spiritual guidance to get that person ready and that family ready to be able to say, it's okay, you can go. Yeah. It's a process and it's a journey. And I always say, we're the conductor on the tour bus at the end of life, you know. We say, oh, look at these trees, and they have a conversation about that. And the social worker, you know, is stopping at another stop. And it's a journey, and those visits and that work that we do for them gets them there, even if they're young or not ready. Through the process of working with hospice, hopefully we get them ready, and that they can say, I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to go.
Yep.
Yeah. Similarly, Janet, on the other end of it, a lot of your programs are doing the very same thing. So they're, as you said, they're expanding into educating out of the families and helping them realize that it's not just about bringing a child into the world, it's just not about finding a source where your next diaper is coming from, but it's about taking on the responsibility of raising your child well and committing yourself to that.
Right. Before hospice, when they actually came in, we actually had one of the city health nurses that was coming in periodically, and she would walk around and talk to them, ask if they had questions on diet, health issues. So we've lost a little bit because of COVID, so I'm hoping that it all comes back.
Yeah. Again, it's wonderful no matter what age we are in life or what situation is happening, that we have connections and that we can reach out to those in need, or those who can guide us, can educate us, can support us. And again, both ends of the perspective here, both organizations are doing just that. So it's a beautiful way to be able to, in fact, I was just kind of making the connection as you're talking, that I never put in my mind that hospice is involved with babies. You know, so kind of in a similar babies, you're actually working with the same group of people, different circumstances, obviously. But talk more about that with babies dying and dealing with young parents,
tough.
families.
There, you know, we are human as well, and sometimes those are those situations. There are times when we leave your home and we drive around the corner and we have a good old sob because we are not inhuman. But yeah, we do from teeny tiny, 1 day old, 10 days old babies. And again, giving that support. And then with our grief support services, having them do that aftercare is so important, because a lot of times, especially when you're losing young children or mothers, those ones are the ones that are particularly difficult for me, are mothers with kids. Having those supports for those children and the spouses and the grandparents, our grief support services for all of that. Because, what do you do with a 5-year-old who's lost their parent? There has to be a support system, and Unity provides that in multiple different ways.
Yeah. I remember one situation that the child was, I don't think the child was stillborn, it died very quickly after birth, and the family was like, in fact, Dad was saying, Mom, don't even go there, don't get attached, right? So a lot of the services that are offered now are, how do you love this child, how do you name this child, how do you bring about this sense of family even though you're saying goodbye. Yep. And obviously very challenging moments, but important for the long run in the grieving of the family.
And we're very blessed. We actually have teams in St. Mary's, St. Vincent's, and Bellin Hospital. So we have hospice teams right in the hospital. Okay. So they work with anybody who's losing their, if they want to sign on to hospice, who's losing their loved one in the hospital. So really it's important that, we do so much even in the institution of the hospital, because again, they're fix-it. And we're comfort, and we look at things through a different viewfinder. Right. And it's funny because, I will get a call from a nurse at the hospital, and they're asking questions, because even nurses, we're all very specialized in the nursing that we do. So when they often will have a patient that's on hospice, it's new to them as well. So we even provide education to the other teams that we work with, just because, it is such a different viewpoint, and different things happen that are very normal for us, that as a new person seeing it for the first time could be distressing. But if you know that it's coming, it's not as distressing. So that's a big part, is that we do a lot of education of getting the patient and the family ready, the staff ready. We do these speakers bureaus to staff members at assisted living, skilled nursing. So we do end of life, what to expect during end of life for those facilities as well, so that those staff can be supported on the front end, so that they know when people are passing in their facility, what's normal, what's not, so that then they can take care of that person in a better way as well.
Right. Thank you, Kathy. Amazing message. Your heart is big. It's a wonderful sense of life you bring, and life that you let go. And you have to have a lot of love and compassion there to be in that. And again, you're advocating for those who are dying. And Janet, again, advocating for those who are just coming in and birthing. A lot of situations happen also where it's like, well, they're on their own. They can buy their own diapers. Why should we be involved, right? And you brought the kid into the world, now it's your problem, right? And there's those attitudes out there. So you're pushing against those kinds of attitudes that said, we're not really all on our own. We need help.
Right. We, because of our hours from 1 to 4, most of our workers are 65 and older. Right. So we're all like grandmas. And all these little babies, when they came in, well, it was just so wonderful. But I should also mention, too, that we have a Hispanic interpreter, because being on the east side near the meat packing, where many of them are working, we have a lot of Hispanics coming in. And Many times they wait till 3 o'clock when their kids come out of school so that they can have their kids talk to us.
Right, right.
But, she's been a real godsend to us.
Great, great, good. Good. And thank you for being with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're happy as a parish, and I know other churches are working along with you as well, but we appreciate the opportunity to give life, to share life, and help people on their journeys as well.
We are ecumenical. I know it started in the Catholic Church, but we have other churches working with us too, so it's ecumenical.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Good.
Well, as a mother, I say thank you because I could not imagine not having diapers. Like, that would be very, very stressful. And those diapers, I'm sure, just take that huge stress away. Because what are you going to do without them? They're going to potty all over everything.
When we got the first call from Encompass, because we weren't really thinking about them, they called because they said, the parents of these kids are working, and they have to supply their own diapers. Right. And sometimes they just can't.
Right.
And they were getting upset because some of them they thought were going home and coming back with the same diaper on. Yeah. And that's just,
As a nurse, that's terrible skincare.
Yeah.
Not good for anybody.
So, right.
Right.
Even old.
Right. Yep. Is there a depends department that you could?
Ours are too big in general to donate.
Good. Well, thank you all. I appreciate for being here. This has been a beautiful opportunity to, again, about advocacy for the young and the old, respecting life, and bringing about a sense of faith and hope to all those around us. So, again, thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here, and for you at home, we appreciate your coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.